Happy to be joined now by Shi Davidi of Sportsnet. Shi, thanks so much for this. And I know it seems like super hot takey thing and radio topic du jour, and it is. But listen, I didn't write this tweet, and it's not just some dude that wrote this as well. It's Barry Verluga, who I know you respect, baseball people respect. He's plugged into the Nationals, talking about the fact that they've inquired on Jose Bautista, which I assume means made a conversation or made a phone call to the Toronto Blue Jays and had a conversation, maybe even exchanged names. What's your initial reaction to this?
I think, look, you inquire about everybody, right?
Yeah.
If you're the Blue Jays, you're asking about a ton of guys. 98% of them have no chance of being traded.
Mm-hmm.
So I make of it that they inquired. And I think it's more interesting for off-season potential that they have some interest in him now, that they may be a team that has some interest in him for the off-season. And Jose Bautista would certainly be a fit for the Nationals. They're a team that has great pitching staff, but could use a little bit more offense, another thumping bat in that lineup. But if you're the Blue Jays, what are you going to get in return from a contending team that's going to help you win?
Mm-hmm.
And right now, you are trying to win. Subtracting Jose Bautista from a team trying to win makes zero sense unless you get a piece that's going to help you immediately.
Right.
So,
all right. So then
I don't see a scenario where that works out.
I generally agree with you. What about the names we're throwing out here? I think you're talking about a starting pitcher, if there's even any scenario here, but we're talking about teams that have actually discussed it. So I imagine the Nationals threw a name out, or maybe the Blue Jays asked for a name, and maybe they asked for like an outlandish dude like Max Scherzer or a Steven Strasburg, because it seems like outlandish that they would move on from Jose Bautista. But what about the names that are maybe more reasonable in a Gio Gonzalez or a Tanner Roark and a Lucas Giolito there as well? Like Giolito seems to make zero sense because the Blue Jays are trying to win a World Series this year, and while he might be great down the road in 2016, not sure necessarily, and it's a risky proposition to say that he helps you win a World Series this year. If Aaron Sanchez is indeed going to the bullpen, having a Tanner Roark with the ERA under 4 or a Gio Gonzalez, although his ERA is 4.5, he's had some success in the past in that rotation spot. Does that make the Blue Jays better?
I mean, well, first, Lucas Giolito isn't moving for a rental player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking one of the premium prospects in all of baseball that, you're not moving him for 2 months of somebody. There's no scenario where that happens.
I would generally agree.
Any GM that does that deserves to be fired immediately.
Anderson Espin. Well, okay, that's a bad comparison because Pomeranz is under.
Lucas Giolito's already touched the big leagues and shown that he can be successful there. Anderson Espinoza is an 18 or 19-year-old kid in A-ball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking like apples and watermelons there. So that's not realistic. Second, those other guys are fine, but you're talking about one of the most impactful offensive players for pitchers that are, Roark's
exactly.
okay, Gonzalez is okay, but are they going to help you as much as Jose Bautista is going to help you?
No.
I don't think so. And as much as the Blue Jays fared well with Bautista out of the lineup, you have to understand that at some point, Edwin Encarnacion's going to cool off. Josh Donaldson's going to cool off. Troy Tulowitzi's going to cool off. You're going to need Jose Bautista's offense to carry you for a certain period of time. And why would you subtract from the primary strength of this team? You don't necessarily take away from a strength to address another weakness because you're just making a different part of your team weak. So I understand the whole thought process. It's like, oh, yeah, well, he's surplus and all this, but he's not surplus.
No, he's not surplus.
He's an important part of this team, and you don't want to subtract. The goal at the trade deadline is to add to the roster without taking away from it. And I'm not sure why that concept is so difficult for people.
No, it's not difficult, Shi, and I agree with everything you've said there. I really do. Listen, if you're the Washington Nationals, and I know you're right, everybody, you inquire about everybody, and a lot of GMs just hang up the phone when you make a call. I'm sure a lot of people felt that was the deal with Josh Donaldson. He was traded, right? And it was a big package, and Alex Anthopoulos was absolutely relentless. And I know I've been down this road trying to shut people down on the Jose Bautista trade thing for months and months. Well, at least ever since he went into the season this year without an extension and a pending free agent. I understand that 100%. I just look at that. First of all, if you believe what Barry Svrluga tweeted, I have no reason to not believe it. Again, and he couched it as well by saying it seems unlikely, and understanding that Jose Bautista has the 10-5 rights. If you're the Washington Nationals, are you really calling the Blue Jays up? And if you're totally convinced that they won't move the guy, like, are you just like, it's almost like a prank call at that point? Are they not exchanging it? Like, they must have an idea of something that might get it done if they are making the call. And maybe the Blue Jays are like, shut up, are you crazy? But at least they have, you would think, the Washington Nationals, some scenario in their mind where it makes sense to the Blue Jays as well.
But then GMs call each other not just for one thing. They talk about a number of different scenarios. They could be talking to each other. Hey, what are you hearing? What do you think these guys are doing? What's your value on this guy? That could be one ask in that's 30 seconds, part of a completely different conversation. Hey, what are you guys doing with Jose? Okay, and move on.
So that's all it could be. That it could just be a mention in a conversation.
It could be as minimal as that. And look, I understand that this is an exciting and interesting idea and all this stuff, but I think we need to keep in mind that a lot of times, this really all kinds of stuff gets thrown around, and that there's really not a ton of significance to it.